Shalom Israel, giving honor and praise to the Most High God for the reading and the understanding of His Word. Now, we haven't done this in a while where we have a focused, dedicated Bible study to one subject. So I wanted to do that today. And no better topic to talk about than David and Goliath. Now, we've heard about this story all throughout Bible study, growing up in church. You are going to find out today how this is probably the most important story outside of the crucifixion in the Bible because it pertains to you, Israel. And it was never ever explained to us, but you're going to get the understanding, the full understanding of what this story means to you today. All right, so we are going to be reading from 1 Samuel chapter 17. Now, I always make this disclaimer. If you are a person that is not diligent, respectful, and patient with the words and the reading of the Most High's words, go ahead and turn this off now. It's not for you. But for those of you who are diligent and respectful and patient, you are about to learn something that you've never learned before with this story. All right, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. Now, for those of you who, if this is your first time, when I read the Bible, I read the scriptures and I break it down. So that's why this may be a little lengthy, but I want to make sure that you have the full and proper understanding of what these scriptures actually say. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. All right, so again, I read from the 1611 King James Version Bible. So I want you guys to read along. All right, the King James Version. Here we go. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 1. Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together at Shechem, which belongeth to Judah, and pitched between Shechem and Azekah in Ephasdammim. So let me go ahead and stop there. So now we're talking about the Philistines. And who are the Philistines? The Philistines are these huge family of giants that lived in the area of Canaan and northern Sinai. And these individuals were the enemies of the Israelites. But right now, there's this Philistine camp that's coming into the property and the area of where the tribe of Judah dwelled, which is where Christ is from, and today are the American blacks. Let's continue. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched by the valley of Elah and set the battle in array against the Philistines. So here it is. Here's Judah and the Philistines, and both sides are preparing for battle to fight against each other. And remember who it said, the men of Israel, the 12 tribes, the sons of Jacob. All right, let's continue. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on the one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side. And there was a valley between them. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. Now, if you do it by today's conversion, a cubit and the metric conversion, if you do it based on American standards, Goliath would have been 9 feet, 9 inches tall. That was a big boy. All right? 9 feet, 9 inches tall. And I want you to think about that for a second. Think how big that is. Just think of a 7-foot man that you've come across before and looking up and see how gargantuan he is. Now, I want you to think about a man who is that's almost 3 feet taller than that. That's a big dude. All right, let's continue. And he had an helmet of brass upon his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. And when you do that calculation, it's somewhere roughly in between 150 and 160 pounds. So this Goliath is wearing a grown man's weight in armor on him. All right, let's continue. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs and a target of brass between his shoulders. And the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spearhead weighed 600 shekels of iron, and one bearing a shield went before him. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel. I want you to remember that. The armies of Israel. So what does that mean? That means all of our brothers collectively. Not just the tribe of Judah, but all the armies of Israel. All the men of the 12 tribes. All the warriors. And they're all going into battle with the Philistines. But Judah is the tribe that's leading. All right, let's continue. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel, and said unto them, Why are ye come out to set your battle in array? Am not I a Philistine, and ye servants to Saul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. So now Goliath is talking trash to the Israelites, and he's saying, wait a second, I'm a Philistine. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all see how big we are. Y'all know how we do it. I'm a Philistine. And y'all are servants of Saul. Who y'all think y'all are? So here's what we're going to do. Go get me your greatest warrior. So now he's calling them out. And he's telling them, go get your best, go get your warrior and bring him here. Let your warrior step to me. All right, so let's continue. If he be able to fight with me and to kill me, then will we be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall ye be our servants and serve us. So now I want you guys to, and especially for the ones who watch my programs already, I think you already see where this is going. But for those of you who are fresh to this here, the Philistines represent an enemy of the Israelites. So this is a precursor to what's going to be going on in the future. All right, so for those of you who know who you are, you know where I'm going. You know where this story is going, okay? Let's go ahead and continue. And the Philistines said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. So again, he's saying, go get your best warrior and bring him to me. Make him step to me. When Saul and all Israel heard those words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. So Goliath stepped to the Israelites, and here's all their great warriors, and he punked each and every last one of them. This one dude stepped out in front of them and said, go get me your best warrior, and they ran. They were dismayed and afraid. They bounced on him. He put fear in their heart. All right, so let's continue. Now David was the son of the Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah. All right, there it is again, Bethlehem, Judah. So we're talking about the tribe of Judah, where Christ comes from. His people, whose name was Jesse, and he had 8 sons. And the man went among men for an old man in the days of Saul. And the 3 eldest sons of Jesse went and followed Saul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons that went to the battle were Eliab, the firstborn, and the next unto him Abinadab, and the third Shammah. And David was the youngest. And the 3 eldest followed Saul. So now they're talking about their fathers. The father's name is Jesse. He had 8 sons. And here's the 3 sons. But the 2 that we're going to focus on is Eliab, which is the oldest, and David, which is the youngest. All right? Here we go. And David was the youngest, and the 3 eldest followed Saul. But David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. And the Philistine drew near morning and evening and presented himself 40 days. So Goliath kept going back, and he was taunting the Israelites and stepping to them, still punking them, still going. And I keep looking over because I'm checking my time. And the Philistine drew near morning and evening and presented himself 40 days. So he's going day and night, taunting them. And Jesse said unto David his son, take now for thy brethren an ephah of this parched corn and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp to thy brethren. And I want y'all to understand that word camp. All right? Because today, on the streets, the brothers that's out there, all the Israelite camps that's on the streets, those are the same people on these streets right now trying to teach our people who we are the descendants of the kings and queens all the way back then. We are the very same people. Nothing has changed. And carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of their 1,000, and look how thy brethren fare, and take their pledge. So now Jesse is sending David to go take care of his brothers. Like, yo, go to the camp and go feed them. Make sure they're good. That's how much we took care of each other back then. That's not the same today, I'll tell you that. Now Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. So they're battling, they're banging right now. But everybody's still afraid of Goliath, their champion, this big, almost 10-foot giant that got everybody shook. All right, so let's go ahead and continue. And David rose up early in the morning and left the sheep with a keeper, and took and went. And Jesse had commanded him, as Jesse had commanded him, and he came to the trench as the host was going forth to the fight, and shouted for the battle. For Israel and the Philistines had put the battle in array, army against army. So again, it's still saying that they're battling right now. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage, and ran into the army, and came and saluted the brethren. So as all this is going on, I want to paint the picture. All this is going on right now. They're banging, they're battling. David stops, gets out of the car, whatever you want to call it, and runs to the battle to go greet his brothers and go salute his brothers as the fight is going on. So I want you to understand that. Okay, we are at verse 23, sorry. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words, and David heard them. So now the situation is a little different now, because now David is on the scene. And Goliath is still talking the same trash that he did originally. So now David is hearing it. Now remember, when Goliath was talking the trash before, all of the Israelites fled because they was afraid of him. And now here's this young kid. And I want you to understand that. David was a young kid. Historically, he was between 10, 11, 12 years old. He was a little dude. He was young. And so this little young kid, this little young Israelite prince comes up, and he hears now the trash that Goliath is talking. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him. See, they ran again. and were sore afraid, which means they were shaking in their boots. You know, like how when you quiver or whatever, your muscles get all tensed up and everything, and you could feel that soreness or whatever. That's how shook Goliath had the soldiers of Israel. They were shook. And the men of Israel said, have ye seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Israel is he come up. And it shall be, and the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. So do you hear what that promise is? They said, for the man that killed this big beast, this big giant, Goliath, that the king is going to give that man his daughter. And I'm just thinking about that. Think about that for a second. You beat this dude here, yo, take my daughter. And I'm going to make your house free in Israel. So guess what? This means that you are going to live a life of luxury. You are going to be free in Israel. So you are going to have all the perks and benefits of living in Israel. Now you have to understand this. At this particular time, Israel was running the world, because we used to be in power before. We lost our power when we stopped keeping the commandments, and God took that power away from us. But right now we are in power. We own land, and right now they're banging in the land of Judah that belonged to our ancestors. All right, so like I said, I just wanted to go ahead and paint the picture. So let's continue. And David spake to the man that stood by him, saying, what shall be done to the men that killeth this Philistine, and taketh away the reproach of Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living God? So now, I want you to understand that what David is saying right now. David is like, yo, wait a second. Whoa. Who is this? Who is this man that is coming against the armies of the living God? So what is David saying? Like, wait a second. These Israelites, we are the army of God. Who is this dude? No, I don't care how big he is. Who is this dude that's coming against the armies of God? So in Israel, so he's saying, Israel, why in the world are y'all afraid of this dude? Don't you know who you are? Don't you know who your father is? And y'all got the nerve to be afraid of him? Come on now. And the people answered him after this manner, saying, so shall it be done to the man that killeth him. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the men. And Eliab's anger was kindled against David, and he said, why camest thou down hither? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride and the naughtiness of thine heart. For thou art came down that thou mightest see the battle. So now, you got to understand, David is down there talking trash to everybody. He's down there lighting them up. So much that it got back to his older brother. Now the older brother is coming down, he's coming to go son, his little brother, snatch him up or whatever. He's like, yo, like, what you doing? They're like, yo, come on, I already know why you came down here, all right? So for one, I already know you, I know your pride, and I already know the naughtiness, I know how you are, all right? All right, you a cowboy, you too hyper. And as a matter of fact, what did you do with all the sheep back at the house? All right, why are you not taking care of your business? Why are you down here? So now Eliab is trying to be the big brother or whatever. And, and David is lighting these dudes up. And David said, what have I now done? Is there not a cause? And he turned from him toward another and spake after the same manner, and the people answered him again after the former manner. So he ignores his brother. He like, man, shut up. You say you down here and whatever, and you don't got them fired up, so I'ma do it. And he's talking to them all over again, saying, like, y'all are some punks. Y'all have no idea who y'all are. Y'all banging with this dude? Come on, man, get out of here. And when the words were heard which David spake, they rehearsed them before Saul and sent for him. So now David is he's striking up a whole bunch of madness throughout the camp. And he's pissing everybody off. So much now that it got back to the leader Saul. So now that now it's going to Saul. So let's continue. Let's see. I'm sorry, where did I leave off at? There we go. And verse 32. And David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. You see that? Here you got this little kid that steps to who would be the general of the army. And he's like, yo, listen, don't let anybody pump no fear into your heart. Thy servant will go and deal with this Philistine. Thy means your servant. So David is talking about himself. He's like, yo, if y'all are scared to go up against this Philistine, I'm going to go up against this Philistine. Did you see the heart of the tribe of Judah? Judah, us, the American blacks. This is this story right here shows how bold, because remember, we are the tribe of the lions. We are the ones with the heart. We are the ones who's going to be leading the army and stepping to our enemies. But we're not going to get there just yet. But for those of you, you know where I'm going. You know where I'm going. Verse 33. And Saul said to David, thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. So now here's Saul telling David, yo, you just a little kid. And this dude, he's a grown man, but he was a soldier. He was a warrior since he was a kid. And David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep. And there came a lion and a bear and took a lamb out of the flock. So now David is saying, so hold on a second. Let me explain something to you, Saul. I am the person that takes care of my father's sheep. And because I take care of the flock of my father's sheep, now there was a lion that came up and a bear that came up and snatched one of the sheep out of my father's flock. And I went out after him and smote him and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and smote him and slew him. So David is saying, look, I went and I snatched that sheep out of the mouth of these animals, these beasts. And they rose up against me, and I grabbed the lion by his head, and I killed him. I pulled him by his mane, by his beard, and I killed this lion, and I killed this bear. I did that. And he's looking directly in Saul's face and telling him, that's what I did. And trust me, that means something, but we're not going to get into it just yet. Let's continue. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he have defied the armies of the living God. So I want you to see that power right there from this young youth. David is like, yo, the same thing that I did to the lion and to the bear, I'm about to do to this Philistine. Why? Because this Philistine defied the armies of God. Y'all don't know who y'all are. Y'all scared. Y'all are shook. But I know who I am. And I know I'm a child of God. And with God, there is no failure. I'm about to catch wreck on this Philistine right now. That's, oh, man. In verse 37, David said, moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and the Lord be with thee. So I want you to understand what's happening right now with David. David said, I'm a child of the Most High God. There is no such thing as failure. When you know who you are in the Most High, when you know that you are an Israelite, when you know that you are a part of the winning team, you know that it is a fixed fight. You can't lose. You being an Israelite, you can't lose. Let's continue. And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put on an helmet of brass upon his head. Also he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off him. So Saul went ahead and Saul put his armor on David. And David was like, yo, listen, I'm not wearing this armor because I never fought in this battle like this. I didn't earn this armor. I don't need your armor. I want you to get that. He's like, I don't need your armor. And he took his staff in his hand and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook and put them in a shepherd's bag, which he had even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near the Philistine. So now you get a little bit more of what that is. David was saying, yo, listen, Saul, I don't need your armor. I'm a child of the Most High. I don't need any of that. All I need right here is this rock. And he had a sling. So pretty much today, some people try to say it's a bullet, but technically yes, but it's more like a slingshot. Let's continue. Verse 41. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, a ruddy and of a fair countenance. So now Goliath steps to David and sees that he's this little young kid who's ruddy. Now, ruddy in the Bible means like my complexion, like this reddish brown color. And he was a fair countenance. So the Bible makes it a point to describe how David looked. He was a young, black, so-called black American young man that was cute. Fair countenance means he looked good. So it's this little good, young, good-looking brother. And he's stepping to this big old giant. And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. Now, I want you to understand that for those of you who have watched my programs in the past. Now, what did the Most High say about the other nations? That their nations are idols. So this is a precept. So if you should probably write this down here. This is a precept to that the Philistines, right here, the Bible is showing that God is only the God of Israel and not these other nations, and especially the Philistines. And the Philistines said to David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air and to the beasts of the field. So now Goliath is telling David, step to me and I'm going to put you in the dirt. I'm going to kill you, and the birds and all the beasts are going to come down. They're going to eat your rotting body. Verse 45. Then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. So David is saying, wait a second, you come to me with your shield, with your sword, and with all that garbage. You come to me with all that? You are stepping to one of the children of the Most High? Are you crazy? Are you out your mind? Let's continue. This day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God of Israel. So do you see what David did? David said, yo, hold on a second, because Goliath told him, I'm going to feed you to the birds and to the beast. And then David came back and said, no. You don't understand how this works. I'm a child of the Most High. I'm about to feed you to the fowl of the air and the beasts of the field. And then I'm going to cut your head off. Do you see the, not even the pride, the courage? Do you see how David is, he has no fear, none whatsoever. He's like, yo, listen, I don't think you understand who I am. I don't think you understand who my father is. There is no fail in my God. I'm about to put you down. The courage, the boldness, the greatness. That's our forefather. And he was doing this as a kid, as a shorty. Let's continue. And before I go there, I just want to make sure that we understand this. How he keeps saying the God of Israel. Do you see the respect and the reverence that David is giving to the Most High? He's making sure everyone, it's not me. I'm about to do this under the guidance of the Most High, under the guidance of my Father. I'm about to put you in the dirt. Let's continue. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. Ooh, that means something, doesn't it? For those of you, you know what that means. Revelation 13:9. Yeah. For those of you that know what I'm talking about. And it came to pass when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistines. So now here's David going. No fear. He said, I'm running towards y'all. I'm about to tear y'all apart. And David put his hand in his bag and took thence a stone and slang it and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead and he fell upon his face to the earth. I don't think y'all understand what just happened. David knew with precise accuracy he was going to bust that dude right here upside his head and kill him. He slung that thing. He had one stone, one. I know it said he picked up 5, but we'll get into that in a second. He had one stone, and he took it, and he slung it. Bam! Put him in the dirt, just like he said. Why? Because he knew that he would not fail. Not because of his power, but because of the power of the Most High. That is the courage that we don't have today. Let's continue. See, I done lost my place. I got hype. I'm sorry, I lost my place. There we go. Nope, I thought I had it. See, I'm too hype. I get hype when I get hype when I read this. There we go. Verse 50. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him. but there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine and took his sword and drew it out of the sheath thereof and slew him and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. So what happened now? So David was like, okay, here he is, he's down, he's done now. Now I'm going to do what I promised. I'm going to cut his head off. So he climbed up on this big dude, this big 10-foot giant, took out his sword and said, remember what I told you? Whap! Cut his head off. And all of the other Philistines saw this and bounced. They ran, fled. Because this one little young dude, this one little Israelite prince, saw the vision already and said, I'm going to kill this dude. I already know who I am. I'm a child of the Most High. I don't fail. Verse 52. And the men of Israel and of Judah arose and shouted and pursued the Philistines until thou came to the valley and to the gates of Ekron, and the wounded of the Philistines fell down by the way of Shaaraim, even unto Gath and unto Ekron. And the children of Israel returned from chasing after the Philistines, and they spoiled their tents. So now it took this one little young dude, David, to get everybody hype. To get out there and step out and show them, yo, y'all are the children of the Most High. We don't fail. I'm about to show you. I'm about to kill him. And then now we're all going to revolt. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the business to the rest of these Philistines. And when they did, they went and took over their tents and took all of their belongings, took everything, took back everything that belonged to them. And David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put his armor in his tent. So David stripped him down. He's like, wait a second, I'm going to keep his armor. This is going to be my prize, my trophy. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this head to Jerusalem. And when Saul saw David go forth against the Philistine, he said unto Abner, the captain of the host, Abner, whose son is this youth? And Abner said, as thy soul liveth, O king, I cannot tell. And the king said, inquire thou whose son this stripling is. And as David returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, Abner took him and brought him before Saul with the head of the Philistine in his hand. And Saul said unto him, whose son art thou, thou young man? And David answered him, I am the son of thy servant. I'm the son of your servant, Jesse the Bethlehemite. I'm Jesse's son. You don't know who I am? I'm Jesse's son. But more importantly, I'm the son of the Most High God. Israel, do you understand what this story is? This story is the precursor to our life today and what's coming here in the last days. You got to understand something. You have to remember the words of King Solomon. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything that's happening now has happened before. Nothing is new. But the Most High is very theatrical. He's very dramatic. And he let that story play out so that we can go back and reference what's going to happen. So now David represents all of Israel. The 1/3 that's going to stand up and head God's army. And do you see the attitude that David had? There is no failure. That's faith. That is the faith and the patience of the saints. So now, what is Goliath? Goliath is the representation of Edomites. He's a representation of their power. Why? Because they had everything. They are our enemies. Do you remember what the Bible said? They are our enemies. So the Philistines and the Israelites were enemies. And they were great, big in stature, just like the Edomites are today. They own everything. They run the world. And the Most High said they are our enemies. And they oppress us. Just like the Philistines had them shook, scared, and sent them off. But it took someone out of the army to stand up and be like, wait a second, whoa, wait a minute. We are the children of the Most High. That is happening all over the world right now. That the Israelites are coming back into remembrance of who we are. But there's warriors that have to stand up and get out there and get about our business. And once we start doing that, what happened? The rest of the nation see. And we all rise up. And we go and take back what's ours. That's what the comparison of the lion and the bear that snatched the sheep. And David went in and said, hold on, I grabbed the sheep and I took it back. This belongs to me. And now that I took it back, for you lion and you bears that want to raise up against us, we're going to snatch you by your head, kill you, we're going to cut your head off. That right there, I want you to understand. I'm going to cut your head off. So right now, Goliath represents Babylon. Whoa, who's Babylon? America. America is the top dog. Do you see that? The majority of the tribe of Judah came right here to this country, 1619, Jamestown, Virginia. And so now, guess what? It's time for us to take back what belongs to us. And the Most High is raising up his armies. And we are going to cut the head off of the big bad giant. This is why you need to be so upset and so pissed off at these Christian churches, because you mean to tell me they have this story in their book and they never broke it down to you this way. Why? Because they can't. They are in bed with your enemies. They take from you every Sunday with tithes, just like your enemies. They take from you and take from you and take from you. I'm telling you, the Black Christian church is the biggest oppressor of our people. And not just them, but also the Catholic Church as well. For our Northern Kingdom family. Y'all got to get that. I want you to understand that. But like I told you, you will never look at the story of David and Goliath the same ever again. That story is about you, Israel. How we are going to dominate. But it's going to take those of us to stand up. Those of us who are not afraid to tell the truth when it comes to these scriptures. That's not afraid of what people are going to think about us when we speak this way, when we speak the truth. Because every time you speak the truth, you will engage your enemy. That's just the way it is. And the sad thing about it is that your enemy lives in your house with you. A lot of them. Because you can tell them all day long until they turn blue in the face that they're Israelites and this book pertains to them. Nope, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And this is why the Most High God said that we have to gather ourselves together, O nation not desired. That's what it is. That's what it takes. So, with that being said, I don't want to hold you any longer. I really hope that this word edified you and taught you something. And I really hope that it ignited the fire, and especially in you brothers, that this ignites the fire so that we can build our army, build our nation, build what belongs to us. And that's just the bottom line. So, for any of you who was offended by that, good. I hope you're offended. You should be offended. I hope it burns you inside. But guess what? Israel rises, and Judah's going to lead under the direction of our King, Christ. And with that being said, Israel, I love y'all. I'm out.